From 4 News Now, with live updates throughout the day, breaking news as it happens, and weather every 10 minutes. This is KXLY Plus.
Good afternoon. For 4 News Now, I'm Rob King. Tomorrow night, 4 News Now's Derek Deis has a special report airing on Narcan in our local schools. There's been a nationwide push for it, and we're seeing the impacts it's having locally. So let's go ahead and bring in Derek Deis himself. Derek, why don't you tell us, just start with a little bit about what is your special report about?
Yeah, this story idea started with President Biden last month saying that he thinks that naloxone or Narcan, kind of interchangeable terms there, should be available in really every school in America. So we thought, I wonder if it is in our local schools already. And we found out, Rob, that actually a lot of them are already carrying it and have been for a while. Spokane Public Schools, starting last winter, they already had it in the high schools before that, but starting last winter, they decided to carry it in every single school, even elementary schools, and all district school buildings. Same thing over at Coeur d'Alene School District. And in the Central Valley School District, another one of the biggest in the area, they already carry it in both their middle schools and their high schools, as well as they have it with like school resource officers and school nurses and stuff like that. So at least our big school districts in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene metropolitan area already carrying this.
So did they say why they had already had it? I mean, it sounds like if there's going to be a federal push behind it, that'd be a great way to start. But did they say that, oh, we started this because of some reason?
Yeah, so I talked to Rebecca Dowdy, who is the executive director of school support services for Spokane Public Schools. And, you know, according to her, she's like, listen, our kids don't just exist in our school buildings, right? They're only with us for a part of the day. But the time they're not here, who knows what they can be getting into, whether it's at home, out in the neighborhood, at, you know, a friend's house or whatever. And so there always is a risk for a child, even an elementary school child, as scary as that sounds, right, to somehow have ingested fentanyl knowingly or not, and then have an overdose situation at school. So they just want to be prepared as well as they can in the event of a situation like that might occur inside of a school building.
It's got to be even a tough reality for these schools to deal with, because you want to think, schools are safe places, kids are safe at home. So it must have been hard to even start that conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jennifer Smelser is the registered nurse at Shuttle Park High School. We talked to her for this story as well. And she said, listen, I've been a nurse for 25 years almost, and this really scared me to think that I was going to have to maybe administer this with a kid. And she said the more she learned about it, the more she learned about how easy it is to administer and how it's actually not harmful if you're not having an opioid overdose. She became a lot more comfortable with it, and now she already would carry like a little bag with her anywhere she'd go that had like a CPR mask and your basic first aid stuff, right? Now she just keeps Narcan in that as well, because as she said, she doesn't want to be responding to something on the third floor and then have to run back downstairs to her office to grab it. So she's like, I'm just going to keep it on me at all times. And Jennifer even said she has had to use it once in a school situation. Turned out there was a kid who was unconscious, thought they were having a seizure. They called 911. 911 said, give him Narcan. And they said, well, we don't know if they've overdosed or not. They said, give it to him anyway, because if it is an overdose, again, it can help start them breathing again. And if it's not going to hurt them. The biggest drawback to it is that it might be a little nasal irritation, but that's
Wow.
it. So basically, the thought is, if a kid's unconscious and you don't know why, give it to them, because it could save their life.
Yeah, and nasal irritation almost seems like a minor impact for saving someone's life.
Right, exactly.
So the nurse is now carrying Narcan around every time, but is it like some big thing? I've never actually seen Narcan in person.
Yeah, so actually our digital producer, Nick, actually had this on him, and so I'll just show it to you. This is what it looks like. So you think about like an Afrin or another nasal spray that you might take. It's very similar to that, right? So you put your fingers here, depress it down, and it shoots it into your nostrils. You can get a 2-pack of these now over the counter for like $40 to $45. So the cost to have these in schools, yes, there is some, right? And if you're a school district that that maybe it's not very well resourced. You might have to think about the total cost of putting that in your schools, but then when you think about how this could save a life, it really isn't much of a question at all. And in fact, Rebecca Dowdy said, if you can't afford it, that's the woman with SPS, there are grants and other things that you can look into to get it into your schools for cheaper.
Absolutely. You got to think now that there's a national push behind it, that money will come with that to help these districts out with that, because I mean, $40 may sound like a lot for, cash in your wallet, but to save someone's life, it's nothing.
Yeah, and we also talked to Ann Raven, who is with the Spokane Fire Department. She's worked in Philadelphia. She's worked in the Portland suburbs before coming here to Spokane. She says she's actually administered it herself several times out in the field in her years of experience. And she reiterated that same thought, that there's really no drawback to this. It can't hurt you if you're not overdosing, but it can save you a life if you are. So, all Spokane firefighters and EMTs, they're all carrying Narcan now as well. And the way she said it is, she thinks it's wonderful that schools would have it in the buildings because, look, no matter where you're at, a fire truck is probably going to be 4 to 8 minutes to get to someone. And if fentanyl is keeping you from breathing because you're overdosing, that might be too long to save your life. So if you have it on site in your school building, or, even Rob, in your business office or wherever else, like just that short amount of time could be the difference between living or dying.
And especially, like you said, even if you don't suspect someone is overdosing, it could save their life regardless.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is something that actually all three of our interviewers brought up, that they said kids aren't necessarily, and I'm talking like teenage type kids, right, that aren't necessarily looking for fentanyl, but they might be buying some kind of pill or something else, and they don't realize where that's come from. It may be laced with fentanyl or some other kind of opiate. So Ann Raven said when she was in Hillsboro, Oregon, they had an example of these kids thought they were buying Xanax pills and thought it would be cool to take some Xanax, right? But they didn't realize that they were laced with fentanyl. And so they had responded to one situation where they had to administer naloxone to save a kid's life. And then within the next few minutes, they started hearing different calls for the same thing, and it was a batch of these Xanax pills that were laced with fentanyl, and all of a sudden they had several teenagers who were unconscious because of that same batch.
Well, Derek, I'm really looking forward to your special report tomorrow. It's such a timely and important topic right now. I always ask you this question, but based on the way television is, sometimes you're pressed for time. So is there anything that you found interesting that during your investigating that did not make it into the final cut, but you think people should know?
We kind of addressed it already, is that cost, right? So, and all of them, I asked it with all of them, like, so again, Spokane Public Schools is a big school district, and the superintendent was very much behind having this in all the school buildings, no matter what it costs. I think if you're a smaller school district, and again, you're thinking about having, like we said, $40 to $45 for a 2-pack of these in every single one of your school buildings, well, you might be thinking like, that's quite a bit of money for us. But every one of them, and this is the reason I guess I didn't say it, was like, they were like, no, duh, like you better have it, because it's becoming, more and more important as fentanyl becomes more and more of a problem in our society. And really not just fentanyl, but any kind of opioid that a kid might be getting, into, whether knowingly or not.
Absolutely. Well, Derek, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Derek Special airs tomorrow in 4 News Now at 6. It'll be up on our website and KXLY Plus following its completion. Derek, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Watch the story. It's hopefully will open some eyes.
Absolutely. Derek, thank you.
You bet.
And like I said, tune in tomorrow night, 4 News Now at 6. You'll be able to watch Derek Deis' special. It's very important. It's a critical topic at this time. And like I said, it'll be up on our website, kxly.com. Thanks for watching. Coming up in about an hour, we'll have another KXLY Plus live update to get you caught up with some of the latest stories. But for now, live in studio, I'm Rob King for 4 News Now.